It is Wednesday, the 17th day of September 2025. And ladies and germs, this is the penultimate episode of Complaints and Observations. That's right. After 5+ years, I'm decided to take the show behind the barn and put one right behind its ear and send it off over the Rainbow Bridge. It's a tough yet easy decision for numerous reasons. The single biggest is that I've come to realize that this, while it was the intention, this truly does have no direction. So when I started, it was during COVID, and time was in abundance for me because couldn't really go anywhere. I was laid off, so it gave me something to do over that summer, which was nice. I had something other than trying to find another job to keep my attention and focus. But I was advertising the show, telling people about the show, selling merchandise, the whole nines, which was very fun. But since getting the current job that I have now, which is about 3 years ago, I've stopped doing any of that, mainly because, I don't want it to be a thing. Um, like I remember my very first day at a job that I had, like for the company that I worked at with Mike, frequent caller Mike, the boss, well, one of the bosses. He's like, I understand you have a podcast. Well, apparently Mike found the podcast and then just went and told everybody that I had a podcast. And so, the guy was like, we just want to make sure that you're not talking about company business. I'm like, no, man, why the fuck would I do that? But like, I didn't want to have that happen again. Um, so that's why I did do it. Plus, the other thing too is like the clients that I'm working with now, I either have like touchy old libs or crotchety old conservatives, both flush with cash. And yeah, I'm putting those labels on it because that's what these people are. Like, it's a very straight divide. It's very odd. And while I'm certain some of them have probably found this at some point, I didn't want to be spoken to or lose a job because some fucking hag heard me say fuck too much or talk shit about the president. Then there's just the general like lack of interest and or listeners. And while I do have a handful of solid diehard listeners, at least that's what I think. Um, it's not really enough to have a presence, right? And it's not like that part of it isn't entirely disheartening because I didn't go into this with that intention, but it's just a bummer more than it. Like for the lack of a better term, it's just a bummer. And part of it is because I do think that the general format, a loose discussion of the day, whining about shit, some laughs and sports and all that crap, right? I think it's a decent formula, but at the same time, it's kind of common. And while it's useful to some, there's very little way to gain traction as like a regular, just everyday person in that type of format. Like, if I was a celebrity and then I created complaints and observations, it would be a smash. Like I can say that with I know that and I feel that. But like as Dave Lapointe, regular guy, it's not going to happen. And I don't expect it to, and I never wanted it to. So don't get that mixed up. It's just that there's no like drive to continue in its current iteration, right? So we'll move on. We'll try something else. I have some ideas floating in my head, but I like talking into a microphone like far more than to just quit doing it altogether. And I think the next go round with whatever project I decide to do is going to involve more people. because I think talking to people is a much better way, to kind of progress in this. I don't want to call it business because that sounds fucking stupid, doesn't it? In this kind of format, I guess, right? So the next one will have a clearer focus and a clearer theme, and we'll just trudge on from there, see how that goes. But I haven't really come to a decision as to what that's going to be. So kind of still mulling that over. I've decided that the final show is going to be on October 15th. October 15th. So it's a little less than a month from now. Um, I'll have I'll drop a couple of things like some all gripes and some short bits or something between now and then, but the last full show will be on that day. So feel free to get your thoughts in. Feel free to call the voicemail line, share some memories, or share, whatever you feel like sharing. Or maybe you just want to say, thank fucking Christ, you've decided to stop this garbage. Whatever you want to do. But today, we'll talk about martyrdom, sports, snack foods, the ego's need for acceptance, and probably some other shit on episode number 199 of Complaints and Observations.
Still, a voyage into the mundane and an exercise in futility, swimming in the absurd while drowning in unearned self-importance. Entirely unworthy of your time, it is the world's worst podcast. This is Complaints and Observations with Dave LaPointe. Who the hell is Dave LaPointe?
I think he's a bum. I think he's an absolute bum.
All right, so let me start with the like the real life stuff, okay? And I've been really trying to figure out like the best way to talk about this because it's the long and the short of it is that it sucks. And obviously I'm talking about like what happened to Charlie Kirk, right? And you know what the worst part about like having sort of a thought or an opinion on this is that no matter which side of the aisle that you sit at, like you have to couch whatever you say with either you love them, you hate them, or you're in between because humans can't communicate normally anymore. Everything has a political bent to it. So if you just say uh, something like that sucks, it shouldn't have happened, it's fucking gross. Um, like if you say anything along those lines, you're gonna have people question you. So you can't win unless you like waving a particular flag, right? Like I did not care for the vast majority of anything that I ever read or heard that kid say. The vast majority. And so the problem now, right, is if you say that, people are going to automatically assume that you're happy that he died. When it could not be any further from the truth. I don't want to see anybody die in that fashion. Nobody should die in that fashion. Like, that's so beyond common sense. And yet, somehow, it just keeps getting jumbled amongst the two sides, right? You've got people who are coming out and just saying, uh, people that are way left, I'm happy he's dead, that's great, yada yada, blah blah, which is such fucking vile bullshit. you're better off saying nothing, right? And I get it. I get it from certain segments of the population where shit that he said made their lives horrifically difficult. We've been taught since we were fucking 2 years old, two wrongs do not make a right. Yet, apparently when it comes to politics, you can't, that doesn't exist anymore. So if I disagree with his politics, that automatically means that I uh, am okay with this. Yet, now I'm getting jumbled here. On the right, he's being martyred to a point, and like that is, and the problem is that the person that did this is right of Charlie Kirk, allegedly. But that's going to get spun, and you're going to hear all kinds of different things from different people about all this, and it just never. There's never going to be like a clear cut kind of acceptance, as much as you can accept it from both sides, because the extremes on both sides are never going to be satisfied with anything, right? The extreme right wants things to be much worse, and the extreme left wants their particular grievance to be the only grievance that is uh, heard, right? So you can't win. But a normal way to handle this would be for everyone to say this was fucking bullshit. This should not have happened. We need to kind of think about this rationally, come together, figure it out, and don't let this happen again. Like that's a rational and a reasonable response. But of course, we can't get that. And like you have an alternate example of the state senator in Minnesota, Melissa Hortman, and her husband and their dog, who were killed by someone on the right. And because they were a Democrat, you didn't really hear anything from the right. And especially the president. When her name is mentioned, he doesn't know who she is. And so I really do think that the left's response, the reasonable left response here, so like mostly center left or slightly left, has been this is a tragedy, this shouldn't have happened. Whereas the far left is not having that same response, which is not helping. I've again lost my train of thought. Fuck. But the right is looking at that response as saying, Democrats are evil, Democrats are the devil, Democrats should die, this, that, and it makes zero sense to me. Zero. Because that's not going to help either side. Yet we're stuck in this whole fucking game here where every single fucking thing is now political. Everything. You can blame social media, you can blame the internet, and it's true because the attention span of humans now is fucking 9 seconds. It's akin to a goldfish. So it's just doom scrolling all day, every day, and it just fills the minds of way too many fucking people. Again, on both sides of the issue. And here's the other thing too. Like I don't want to both sides this thing, but it's the only thing you can do. And it's fucking annoying. But last word here, right? This is a tragedy. Anyone thinking otherwise is foolish, and I'm sorry if you don't, but this is third world country shit, and we're not a third world country. Like, we're better than this. We should be better than this as a society, as Americans. But we've devolved into fucking nonsense, like stupid nonsense. Hate over what? Nothing? Over words? But anytime someone takes those words and puts them into actions, that's the fucking problem. And so now you have to figure out how do you fix that? You could fix it by other words, by saying things that are going to, hopefully negate the negativity, but no, adding negativity to it is just going to make the situation worse. So it's just a matter of time before something like this happens again. So sit back and get ready, because that's where we're headed for a multitude of reasons. That is all. That is literally all. All right, let's get to the toy aisle if we can. Now, a couple weeks ago, I had asked all of my dear listeners to share with me who they thought was the most famous dog of all time. I said that one of, if not the, was Toto. I got one call. So thank you. Um, yeah, here it is. Here comes that one call.
Okay, Dave, it's Scuba Steve. Listen, you asked about famous dogs. Lassie, Rin Tin Tin. Animated dogs, my personal favorite. Scooby-Doo. You got to remember that there's a couple different ways you can have a dog. Let's not even get into famous cats, because there aren't any. But just staying with the dogs, Lassie, Rin Tin Tin, Toto, but I don't think Toto holds up. Just think everybody kind of took Toto to be a token actual animal. You know, like with the lion and the monkeys. They needed a real animal in there. Kind of bring some gravis to the point. That's it.
All right, shout out Scuba Steve. Thank you for the phone call. Appreciate you. Now, you mentioned Lassie and Rin Tin Tin, but then later in the call, you say that Toto doesn't hold up. I mean, look, I would argue that both Lassie and Rin Tin Tin, especially Rin Tin Tin, does not hold up. Lassie, okay, fine. Like, people younger than 40, like, how many do you think know who Lassie is? Right? Yet, people of that age, they know who Toto is. They may confuse it with a band, but, for the most part, they're going to know when you say, hey, who's Toto? They say, oh, it's a dog from that Wizard of Oz, right? Yes, there you go. Who's Rin Tin Tin? Who? Yeah, exactly. Now, if you want to get into animated dogs, Scooby-Doo, top of the heap, right? Scooby-Doo, Clifford the Big Red Dog. Um, there's a handful of other animated dogs. Goofy, who is either a dog or a cow. Discuss. I think that Toto holds up entirely. Entirely. And now, like, I think Toto's getting a lot more run currently because of this thing at the Sphere. Like, good fucking grief. They're making money hand over fist. $2 million a day showing this fucking thing. And it's from all these crazies that show up dressed like fucking Dorothy. Trust me when I tell you, there were quite a few. But I do think that the famous dog thing can really kind of, it could be a worthwhile discussion. And I mean, the point at the end where you needed a token animal that wasn't a lion or a monkey. Come on now. Like I don't think you needed a companion for Dorothy more than you needed like a real animal, right? Like I don't think they could just have Dorothy running around on her own. And I think they used Toto as a foil, right? They used Toto because the witch kept talking about, your little dog too, ha ha ha. So there was that added drama. Like Toto brought gravitas for sure, but also brought an additional layer of drama to the story. And Scuba Steve, as a writer, you should know that Toto brought that additional bit of drama, that sort of side drama that is a necessity in storytelling. I am a piss poor storyteller, and I'm not good about the additional layer of drama within a story that adds to the overall story. So you got me with Scooby Doo. That's a given. So animated dogs. Animated dogs may get their own category, but let's just talk, you know, dogs in general, right? And then finally, you can take your opinion on cats and shove it straight up your ass. Okay, on to the next. So, this is the sports segment of the program, and I want to start with the local nine. I want to start with the Red Sox, and who lost last night to the lowly Oakland Athletics, and I will call them the Oakland Athletics in perpetuity, the same way I call the San Diego Chargers the San Diego Chargers in perpetuity, because what they're gonna do to Vegas is kind of fucking stupid, but whatever. So as I kind of expected, they did kind of reel me in for a little bit about them playing well and being able to do this and being able to do that, and they kind of got me. But at the same time, they kind of didn't. I'd like to think that I was a little bit smarter than where, than people freaking out about. Oh my god, they're so good. No, like there's a multitude of problems here, and it's been the bullpen from the jump. Like last night they get 5 innings from this Conley Early kid who looks like he's fucking 12. It drives me insane. But the kid can pitch. Like he legitimately can pitch. He's better than fucking Moose, that other kid, like whose name escapes me at the moment. That other new pitcher who, had one good game and then has been rocked a couple times, which, is great. Hopefully he, cleans it up. But they found a way to blow it, and the division was there for the taking, and they couldn't figure it out. And how? Well, they lost their best player. And the sad part is, right, their best player was 21, had never played Major League Ball. He gets hurt, and they've tried to replace him with, two Nates and a Nick, all of which have combined to form some kind of less than mediocre Voltron that can't field. But like, and then you know what? You know what really fucking bugs me? All of this Alex Bregman stuff. Like I can't put my finger? I can't put my finger on what the point is, right? Why does the media, they are so fucking stroking this guy and his cock and his ego, whatever, because they're so petrified that he's gonna leave. Guess what? If somebody fucking throws a bag at him, he's leaving. He's opting out anyway because that was the whole fucking plan from the jump. But I mean, like, they're making out like he's the second coming of Dustin Pedroia, and he's not even close. Like, could this guy be a better player than Pedroia? Maybe, probably. But like, Pedroia was a different animal. an entirely different cat. Bregman is not him, and it's almost as if the media wants Bregman to be the next Pedroia. That's not him. Like he's not going to be that. Yet we keep getting stories about how he's a second coach. He's helping guys figure out their batting stance. Meanwhile, you got a bunch of guys in the lineup that are hitting like 095 this month. Or in the case of Cedon Raffaello, who you fucked with and ruined. If you just left him in the 9 spot and just let him do his thing in that part of the lineup, it would have been fine. Instead, he gets hot and you had to move him around, and now he's all fucking out of sorts. That guy's hit like, I think, 150 since the All Star break. Like, there were people talking about him getting MVP votes at the break. Huh? It's just so, like, this is the part of, like, Red Sox fandom and Red Sox media that I can't fucking stand. Because it's the constant fawning over certain guys and it's the constant like trying to relive the past. It never ever fails. And then just this idea that somehow making the playoffs is going to be such a huge accomplishment, right? That should be that's again, I've said this before. Making the playoffs in baseball should be bare minimum, like the absolute minimum. You've got fucking 3 division winners and what? 3 wild cards? Oh no, 4 division winners. Is it 4? Fuck if I can remember. They keep fucking changing things. All I know is that a lot of teams make the fucking playoffs. Three divisions, 3 wild cards. And every year you can write off half of each league. You can write them off March 1st. You can write them off right then and there. You know who's going to suck. You know who's going to be mediocre and you know who's going to be good. But you're always going to get like a couple of teams that surprise you. Okay. So a couple of teams that people thought were going to be okay are better. Like the Red Sox are one of those teams, right? Cleveland is one of those teams. Seattle. Seattle has fucking won 10 in a row. Like they're winning that division. Texas, well, Texas won a fucking World Series, so let's not talk about them. In the National League, it's like everybody was singing about the Dodgers and the Padres, but it's the Brewers and the Phillies that are the 2 best teams in that league. Where the Phillies have the fucking best record in baseball. Yet the Cubs are not too far behind. But just saying, oh, we want to make the playoffs so that the young guys can get experience. God, I hate that. Like, how does that change? Yet they'll say that in one breath, and then the next breath say it's 1 game at a time. Okay, so how does that change? How does that any different between fucking June 7th or game 2 of the wild card series? You should treat it the same exact way. That tells me that these guys do not treat regular season games the same way. They don't treat them with the same gravitas as the playoffs. And if they make the wild card round and lose, like how is that beneficial to anyone? Other than the media saying, well, look, they made the playoffs. Now next year they can make a push. A push for what? A push to keep the payroll down again? And to fill a bullpen with crap and hope you get lucky? Like I hate being so negative about this team, but I just can't help it because it's almost as if they've made it their sort of desire to try to make them relevant again. Like John Henry Atal is trying so hard to make them relevant. But when half the fan base thinks that you're a fucking Jesus. Carpetbagger. It's a problem. Anyways, moving on. The Patriots. Let's talk about the Patriots, okay? Big win on Sunday, okay? In what would be called a garbage win during the Brady years. This thing was maddening. Like, the fucking penalties on offense. Appalling. Like, in their basic penalties, holding penalties. The number of, like, Travion Henderson got flagged 3 times for holding. 3 times. Morgan Moses, I think, got flagged twice. Campbell might have got flagged once, but that was it. Like, you didn't hear him. You didn't hear his name, and that's the best thing you want from a fucking offensive lineman. So, he May had time, a couple times where he just did not get rid of the ball. He should have, and he didn't, get sacked a few times. But he didn't turn it over. No picks, no fumbles. Threw the ball well. Ran the ball when he should have. Didn't do anything stupid. And honestly, that was the best part of the game. He didn't do anything dumb. He didn't do anything that left you throwing your hands in the air saying, "What the fuck are you doing?" Which is a huge step forward. If that could be what he does all year, where he keeps those moments to a minimum, that's a massive win. Like, he's not going to be Tom Brady, folks. If he's Drew Bledsoe, I'll take it. I'll take it. But I mean, there's so much that they can work on. And honestly, that's the best part. Because if they went out and played like a close to perfect game, it would have ruined the rest of the season. Because then everybody would have said, "Why can't they play like they did against the Dolphins?" The penalties, bad tackling on defense and special teams. And this was all against an opponent who came in like already basically quitting for the season. There was a great interview with JJ Watt, and he was talking about the Dolphins and how they called a players only meeting after week 1. And he's like, "You know what? Make your plans. Make your plans for January, because you're not going anywhere but fucking Cancun." I don't think he said fucking, but yeah. He's like, "Make your vacation plans now because the season's done. You're done. You're having a players only." And he's like, most times when teams have a players only meeting, they're done. But I mean, just to have it after week 1, it's even more than done. You're toast before you even fucking get back on the plane. If that's what you're doing. So, big one this weekend against Pittsburgh, who, like, this is a winnable game. If Christian Gonzalez comes back and the secondary is not Swiss cheese, then this is a winnable game for sure. So, I mean, the idea of being 2-1 after week 3 is appealing, right? But we'll see. I mean, the defense needs to play better. Like, you need, I don't know. I don't want to say the offensive play calling needs to be improved, because it will all year with that fucking knucklehead at the helm. But, like, I want to see Henderson used better. Like, he's a fucking firecracker. Like, you need to be calling plays specifically to make that happen. But, we're not going to do that. Lastly, is your West Ham United. Now, when last we spoke, they had played 2 matches and were throttled in both, and things were dire. Then they came out, they played Nottingham Forest, and they whooped ass. They played fantastic team football and beat them 3-0. Forest, a good club. They are playing in Europe this year. They finished 7th in the table last year. So, it was good. And they came and they played Spurs over the weekend. First half of that Spurs match, fantastic. Fantastic. They got out of the half, 0-0. A lot of pressure. The defense was good. And they hadn't done anything dumb. Less than a minute into the second half, what happens? A corner for Tottenham, and they score. Again, on a fucking corner. We've given up more goals than anyone else in the league. We've given up more goals on corners by a margin of 4. So we've given up 6 goals on the year now. 6 on corners. Six, 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 six. The next highest team is 2. So the whole thing is still a mess, right? And that's the best way to put it. Because, in the 15 years or so that I've been supporting this club, I've never seen a team defend corners as bad as this one. It's almost as if these guys don't know where to be. And they're not being proactive at all. They're just reacting to what the other team is doing. It's shambolic. And that's being kind. I want to believe firmly in my heart of hearts. I want to believe that the manager will right the ship and figure it out. However, I'm not sure. My guess and my feeling. So I don't want to say guess. My feeling is that when he took over the ship last February, March, that he inherited a ship riddled with holes, just riddled. And he's been trying to plug these holes with different things, right? He does not have enough plugs, and in some cases doesn't have the right plugs to fill these holes. So the ship is still taking on water, and it's either less or more depending on what happens during the game. This is a wild analogy, by the way, and this is all just top of mind. I am a genius. But I have to believe in the guy because I was on I'm on a West Ham message board, and somebody posted an article that basically said it's only been 4 games. Calm the fuck down. That was the title. And it's like you want to believe in this guy because he has a track record, right? But patience is not a thing in the Premier League. It does not exist. And it's even less so with this fucking bunch that owns the club. And they do everything. They spend money on players, which is fine, but they spend money on the wrong players. They think they know football instead of putting it into the hands of actual football people, which is problem 1. Problem 2 is they always cheap out on the manager. They always go for guys that are going to not cost them any money to bring in and that are maybe already on some other team's books for a prior contract. That's what they've been doing, and they've been doing that for a while now. So it's either you stop doing that or you give your current manager time to improve. And that's what I hope. Like, show me something this weekend, Graham. Give me something that looks as if it's improving. You got a handful of new players that look like decent players. And so build upon that. Still don't have a fucking striker. Look, Mikel Antonio is still sitting out there. Like, go get him. Like, last I knew, he was still training with you. Go get him. Like, fucking put a fucking shirt on him and let him go. Like, what's the big deal? What do you got to lose? Nothing. Stick him out there with 15 minutes to go. And just let him fucking run people over. God forbid. I don't know, it's pie in the sky shit. Anyways, that's it. That's sports. All right, it is time for everyone's favorite part of the program. It's the end, also known as 3 gripes. I have 3 gripes today, and I'm happy with the gripes that I have. However, um, I'm thinking for future episodes, right? Where I have one actual episode left, and I have a handful of just random sort of gripe based episodes. I would ask if you do care and if you do have something, call in and give me a gripe or two, like a legitimate gripe. Give the title to what the gripe is, and then roll. Right? Call in, leave that voicemail with your gripe or two. Let me know what it is, and maybe those will be just kind of one-off, not an episode snippets. All right. Gripe number one: putting a personal ethos on your vehicle. And I'm not entirely certain as to if whether or not I'm even like I'm fairly certain I'm using the word ethos properly here because it's basically your, you know, guiding belief or your character, essentially, as to what it means, right? The other day, I'm driving down the street, and that's a theme here this week, is that there are two gripes. Actually, all three of them were based on a single commute. I just realized that. Oh God. And there's this truck on, I think I'm on 93, driving into town, into the big city. And I see this truck, and it's super tint, like fucking the heaviest black tint I've ever seen in my life. And emblazoned is a sticker on the side of the truck, on the window, it should say. And it said, for some reason, sucker free. Sucker free. And it got me thinking, it's like, what's that? Why? Why would you put that on your car? Are you saying that you're not a sucker and that, you don't bring suckers into the car? I mean, it kind of depends on what you're into, but what's the point of that? What are you advertising? And what sort of ethos, if anything, does this represent? It kind of ties into like my license plate frame gripe from a few weeks back. People that love to advertise their hobbies on a license plate frame. But then it got me thinking, like, bumper stickers in general, or stickers on a car, or anything on a car, is simply nothing more than an advertisement for the person that's in the vehicle. And so putting a personal ethos on your car by, either slathering it with political bumper stickers or Disney shit or stuff about your kids, like you're saying a lot about yourself by what you're putting on the car. Now, in some instances, it's just advertising, like purposefully. For example, the Honda Fit does have, oh, that kind of ties in nicely, huh? The Honda Fit has a show sticker on it, and then a Patriots like little badge for the Patriots. That's what's on the car. It's like, okay, well, what sort of person is driving that? Well, it's an asshole, first and foremost. And second, it's just a person who doesn't really feel the need to slather their vehicle with stickers. Now, when I was a kid, I drove an '84 Cutlass Calais, and the back of that car had more fucking stickers than you know what to do with. But it was just, I just loved the idea of putting bumper stickers on a car. It had no real, there was nothing to it. Like, anytime I got a sticker or a bumper sticker, it went on the car. Didn't matter what it was. I just don't understand the whole point of putting more than just like a Patriot sticker on a car. You know what I mean? Gripe number two: men fighting age. During that same commute, I happened to look over to my right, and there was a man driving what I think was a Mazda Miata. It was some sort of small Japanese sports car. And this guy, shoe polish colored hair. And he was not the sort to naturally have black shoe polish colored hair. Men, men who do that, right? Um, I don't get it. There are other ways to project virality other than coloring your hair, right? And so, as a youthful looking, virile man myself, it's all about presence. No, I mean, it sort of is, right? If you present yourself in such a way, people are going to look at you as a young man. That's just how nature and society work. If someone looks at you and you've slathered on extreme amounts of hair dye, they're going to look at you like, what are you doing, man? Especially if other parts of your, and that's the difference between like men and women. Like, I mean, women can color their hair, but people aren't really going to know to a point. But dudes, especially unless you're shaving every day and no one knows what's going on your face, you're not going to be able to get away with it the same way. Embrace aging. It is a absolute gift. And if you're so fearful of your appearance, well, then that's another thing that you should address. And that's when you start to change your diet, exercise. And now listen to me as again, youthful looking, in shape, virile young man. I'm telling you what you should be doing when it comes to looking youthful and virile. You should be exercising. I've been exercising again for like 10 days now, so I'm an expert again. I just feel so much better though, honestly. And I hate when I stop doing it. It drives me nuts. Because then I get lazy and depressed. And then the minute I start up again, it's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. Fucking God, it's annoying. Anyway, so don't do it. Okay? Don't be one of those people. I beg you. And then finally, gripe number 3, driving with a glass of water. Same commute. I can't believe that all 3 of these were on the same fucking commute. Dead serious. Wow. I look over and there's a guy to my left and he's drinking a glass of water, like an actual, literal glass of water. And it ties into a previous gripe, which is driving with an actual cup of coffee, an actual ceramic coffee mug, open top. Same with this glass of water, open top. Now, water is less offensive than the cup of coffee because if something happens while you're driving with the cup of coffee, that's going to make a fucking huge mess. Your glass of water is just going to dry. However, you're holding a glass, so I'm like, okay, how did this happen? Like, what's the reasoning behind it? My guess is that this dude is exceptionally frugal. I won't say cheap. I'm going to say frugal. In that he will not purchase a water bottle to drink water out of on his commute. He's like, oh, I already have a vessel at home. It would be even funnier if that was like his only glass. He's a guy at home. He's got one, maybe 2 glasses, 2 bowls, 2 dinner plates. That's it. I don't need any more. What more do I need? I drink water out of a glass. I can bring it in the car. What's the problem? Because you look like a fucking sociopath. It's sociopathic behavior. And again, I don't want to say that if you don't have a bottle or another type of vessel that you're lesser than. I don't want to say that because that's not true. Settle the fuck down. But yeah, I just found that so fucking strange. Anyways, so that's it for the show. Listen, again, October 15th, episode number 200, the final episode of Complaints and Observations, wrapping it up. And I'd like to wrap it up on a high note. So, I will probably, I'm going to take the day off. I have a doctor's appointment in the morning. So long as nothing awful has happened to me in the doctor's office, unless he says, oh my goodness, which it's not. I'm just having, my biannual blood work. Um, so unless something tragic happens, which, nothing happened, that'll be the last show, October 15th. I'm going to take the day off, come back from the doctors, record the show. I might even try to do like a live stream retrospective, or maybe go on the YouTube, use the YouTube for one and only time. And and then put a little bow on it and call it a day. So, and then hopefully maybe after the turn of the calendar, maybe um, like start to really formulate what I'm going to be doing moving forward. So I'm going to spend some time really trying to make an investment in the next go around, whatever that may be, and make it a somewhat serious endeavor, and see how that goes. Fingers crossed. But for now, 617-804-1557. Call in. Uh, call in with your gripes. Call in with your general thoughts. Call in with your reflections on the show, what you thought about it, what you hated, what you liked, all that fun stuff. And then we'll kind of go through it, um, and see how that goes. Um, I am on Instagram. I am on Facebook, but fuck Facebook. I'm on Threads. I'm on the YouTube. You'll find the show on any sort of streaming platform: Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, some others, YouTube. Oh, I already said YouTube. And then I ask you kindly, tell your friends. Tell your friends, if you know that they've ever listened to the show at any point, have them call in or have them just listen. And yeah, let's go out with a bang, if you will, right? Excuse me, that was a sneeze. That's a sign, huh? Yeah, you should probably stop doing this. All right, anyways, listen, thank you as always. I appreciate it. Please tell your friends, tell your moms. Take care of yourself, take care of each other. Godspeed. Ta ta.